Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News podcast. In what is hopefully going to become a monthly feature, we welcome the return of Adrienne Thoman, the activities director here at Central Penn College. And we're going to be talking about some of the huge events coming up here in June of 2016. Now, we do understand that finals are coming up, and actually, if you stay tuned to our featured 3 events, some of the finals week events to help you get through your studies and through your final exams will be discussed. I'm here today with Adrienne.
Hi, how are you?
And I'm here also with Yuli.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, as hopefully you both are as well. I wanted to start off the interview today, Adrienne, with a little bit more discussion about, I know that we discussed this on last month's podcast, but a little bit more discussion about the retreat that you and many wonderful students here at Central Penn College just came from last weekend. We are recording this during week 8, so it was last weekend that the retreat happened. Could you just tell us a little bit more about the event, what you guys did when you were there, and maybe some of the things that you did that maybe you're looking forward to doing in the future?
Absolutely. So this was our second annual Women's Leadership Retreat. We bring our female Central Penn students. We take them all the way to not too far, but Camp Hebron in Halifax. And we have a villa there, a cabin that we stay in. We were able to take 13 girls and 4 staff members and have the opportunity to be there for 3 days and 2 nights. While we're there, we try to basically provide all forms of leadership training. They do teamwork skills, they do cooperative games, we sang pirate songs, all kinds of fun, silly stuff. But we also brought in an amazing lineup of other women from our Central PA community that are incredible role models for these gals when they look to developing their own leadership skills. We're really excited about that. And one of the biggest things that was new for this year was we actually had our very own President Scalfaro join us for the entire retreat. So we were really, really excited about that, to have her join us.
Can you just go into a little bit more detail? You say leadership. What were some of the specific types of discussions that you were having as far as leadership went for the people that attended?
Great question. So we talked a lot about goal setting, really having a vision of where our girls want to go. When they leave here, where do they want to be in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, and really trying to get a clear picture. We talked about a quote, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it talks about if you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up somewhere else. Just giving them a real opportunity to think about where they want to go, and then hopefully give them the tools to do that.
And that's something else that I teach a lot of the freshman seminar, college success seminar type classes. And for a significant part of the class, we talk about the importance of goal setting. But when you say goal setting, it's not just, well, I want to be successful at college. That's not a goal that is going to get you far, because you have to define some of these terms. What is success to you? Is success to you making the dean's list? Is success to you making a specific GPA of 3.0, let's just say? Or is success to you just kind of passing and just getting by? And that's where I think a lot of students, when they come in and we talk about the importance of goal setting and they say, well, I want to do well at school, you really have to be much, much more specific when you're making these types of goals. Now, also, one of our institutional objectives that we have is this concept of leadership. Can you just discuss a little bit more how this, the leadership conference is going to help the students as they go away from maybe what things or what concepts did you guys discuss that maybe it can be implemented for the individuals that went along?
One of my favorite things that we talked about was really the idea that we are all connected. Our guest speakers, we had a panel discussion on the final morning, and in that discussion, every single member, we had Una Martone, we had President Scalfaro, we had Randy Teplitz, one of our professors here, and every single one of them talked about someone in their life that was a mentor, or they went to when they had a concern or a problem. And we really wanted to convey that to the girls as well, that they are all connected, they're resources to each other. We can do more, get further when we pool our resources and work together and support each other. So I think that's certainly something that I hope they all took away and will be able to carry with them well into their futures.
What's funny is when we had a similar discussion in class this week, we talked about evaluating yourself, what strengths, what weaknesses that you have. And one of the weaknesses that always comes up in a lot of students when they're doing their own self-reflection is working in groups and collaboration. And that's one of the things that to me is so important. If a professor gives a student a group project, I always hear, and I do group projects quite frequently, I always hear this, kind of sigh, and just sort of, you can tell that the students are frustrated. And I ask them why that is, and typically their response is something along the lines of, well, more than likely somebody in the group won't pull their own weight, and I'll just end up having to do more work than everyone else. And you know what my answer to that was? Welcome to life. Because no matter whether it's work professionally, outside of your life, in your personal life, you're always going to have collaboration, but how often does the work ever get divided 50-50? It just usually doesn't happen that way. So that's part of the reason that I really like to do these group projects. And I love that you said about how important collaboration is, because I think so many students want to shy away from the group work, but when actually that's one of the main things that employers are looking for is leadership skills. And I think you even mentioned it last time we were talking about athletics, that the athletics actually move your resume to the top of the pile because of leadership skills and the ability of working in a team. So I think that was a wonderful point. I'm very glad to know that the retreat went well, and I certainly look forward to covering this in the future, and hopefully some more of the individuals here at Central Penn will take care of, becoming more involved, because it's definitely something that's going to be able to go on the resume as well.
Just as a side note, there has been discussion. We've had the second annual women's retreat. So I've had a couple people say, so when's the guys' retreat? When's it going to happen? So we're talking. Things are moving. We're thinking about that and trying to get that rolling too. So hopefully you'll be hearing more about that in the future as well.
Well, certainly we would love for you to make any kind of initial announcements on our podcast. We would love for that. I want to turn it over to Yuli. We're going to start talking about some of the things that are coming up here in June. Of course, we do still have 3 weeks of school. Our last day of official class comes June 17th, and there are still plenty of very interesting events coming up in the first 3 weeks of June.
So I guess my first question to Miss Adrienne is, what kind of activities that we have right now on June that will come up soon?
Okay, well, let's see, where do I start? Well, we only have a few more weeks of class for this term. I can't believe how fast it went. But we definitely want to give you some fun things to do before finals begin. A couple of things that you might want to check out on June 6th. We're going to go to the Turkey Hill Experience and Taste Lab. Obviously, Turkey Hill is a local business, amazing iced tea and ice cream, and we're going to get to go and check out their facilities and actually create our own ice cream flavor. Fun. It's going to be $3 for students to participate. They can sign up either online using the link in Student Central, or they can just stop in the Student Activities office and sign up with me. So that'll be super fun. So we're also doing a recycled art sculpture challenge. This is the second year we tried this. Last year we made out of my recycling bin, we made an amazing full-sized horse sculpture. So we're going to try that again this year. I don't think we're going to make a horse. We're going to try to do something different, but that's going to be on Wednesday, June 8th. From 4 to 6. So we're going to be outside. You'll be able to see us when you walk through. So definitely want to check that out. And of course, at the end of the term, we've got late night breakfast on June 9th, where you're going to be able to come into the Night and Day Cafe and get your free French toast and bacon and all that good stuff to enjoy while you're up late cramming for finals.
Adrienne, something that we would really like to become part of our monthly podcast is our featured 3 events for the month of June. Certainly you've given us some sort of good appetizers, but now we're ready to move on to the main event. So right here is going to be the featured 3 events for the June 2016 activities calendar.
Okay, so here's the big 3 for June. You do not want to miss Petapalooza on June 11th. It's going to be from 11 to 4 here on campus. We are going to have, it's actually an event that's going to be held on campus, not one that we're planning, but it's going to be incredible. 50 vendors, tons of people, and the best part, there will be pets, there will be puppies, and I think a pig, and all kinds of fun animals running around to check out. It's going to be so fun. Again, that's Saturday, June 11th from 11 to 4, and it's free to attend, so it should be a blast. I also want to mention the Cram Jam. This is it happens every term. It's going to be Sunday night into Monday, so it's overnight. June 12th to the 13th. It starts out Sunday about 7 p.m. and we usually wrap up Monday morning about 5 a.m. when everybody's fallen asleep here in the underground. But we have activities all through the night. We'll do a midnight movie. We do Zumba and pizza and games and all kinds of fun challenges. So take a break from studying for your finals or bring your books over and study here, but just give you a night to have fun and do some stress relief before those exams hit. Finally, I definitely want to point out our theater department is in the process of planning an incredible original production piece. It is going to be performed in June, so don't miss it. It's going to be amazing. Yuli's actually one of the cast members, correct?
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be great. So that's going to be, there are four nights of the show that you can come to. It's June 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the 12th is a Sunday, so that's going to be a daytime show. But it's going to be about dreams and nightmares. And there is a student rate for tickets.
Yuli, we would love to hear a little bit more if you can share some of the, maybe some of a behind-the-scenes look at Dreams and Nightmares.
I guess some of the behind the scenes is, as you've seen in the flyer, that has been around, is talk about one person having a dream lined up with four people, standing from the bed and looking at one figure, which is, I can't reveal what is the figure, but it will be fun to look forward to. There will be a lot of mystery during the play, and then some couple fun things. There's funny stories in it, and you definitely have to look forward to.
If I recall correctly, I remember Janet Bixler discussing, who's the theater director, discussing that these stories that are going to be within this original play come from the cast.
Yes. So everything that you will see on June 9 to June 12, it will be original play or original scenes from our cast that coming up with the stories. So when we began creating this, we sat down with Professor Bixler and everyone else to come up what kind of stories that we want to put, what kind of dreams that we have, what kind of nightmares that we usually have. And then some of them are the dream that we have, like our goals, what we want to become someday.
There's been a lot of mystery around the show. I keep asking all kinds of questions, and they won't tell me. They're like, you got to wait till you come and see it.
And so I'm just going to reiterate some of these dates, and then we'll come back for a final segment here with Adrienne. Some of the things that we definitely want to keep an eye out for: the Recycled Art Sculpture Challenge will be happening on June 8th from 4 to 6 in the Quad. The Late Night Breakfast will happen June 9th, Thursday, at Scoozy's from 10 to 11:30 p.m., and then our Turkey Hill experience also is going to be during week 10, the Monday of week 10. That's going to be on Monday, June the 6th. And our featured 3 events for June would be number 1, Petapalooza will be happening June 11th from 11 to 4. The Cram Jam, that will begin Sunday, the 12th of June, going into early morning hours of the 13th. And finally, our second annual original production from the theater, Dreams and Nightmares. There's going to be evening showings Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the 9th, 10th, and 11th, starting at 7:30, and the 12th Sunday for a matinee at 2:30. Just one more thing I wanted to discuss. I know that this is sort of a preview for next month, but there's a major opportunity coming up here for Central Penn students, so I'm going to turn it over to you so you can sort of pitch this major opportunity coming up in July.
Absolutely. Well, we are lucky enough to be super close to an awesome amusement park, Hershey Park. So we are going to plan a field trip there as a college. We're going on Monday, July 11th, and the students have an opportunity to get discounted tickets. It will cost our Central Penn students just $20 for a day in the park, and obviously it's usually a little bit higher than that. So
almost double.
We're really happy to offer them a great deal to be able to spend the day in the park. If they would like to go on their own, they can do that. They can drive themselves on June 11th, or maybe they get sick that day or they want to go on a different day, as long as they use the tickets by the end of July. So they have until July 31st. Their tickets will still be valid. So definitely encouraging our students to take advantage. If they would like to bring a guest, there are guest tickets available that are $38, which is still lower than the regular admission fee.
And I know that that's Monday, July 11th, but the deadline to sign up for that Hershey Park trip will be Saturday, June 18th.
Correct, yep.
Adrian, thank you so very much. Yuli, thank you so very much for sharing a little insight on the original production in the theater, The Dreams and Nightmares. Adrian, we will look forward to seeing you again next month in June in what we hope to be a monthly repeat visit. So for Yuli Sadejo, for Adrienne Thoman, you have Professor Miller signing off, and we'll catch you the next time on the Nightly News Podcast. You are listening to the Nightly News at Central Penn College podcast from Somerdale, Pennsylvania. Welcome back to the Nightly News Podcast. We're still here with Yuli, but now we're here to welcome Professor Janet Bixler, the theater director. And so we would like to talk a little bit more about the second annual original play for the Central Penn Players, The Dreams and Nightmares. That's coming up here June 9th, 10th, and 11th. At 7:30, and a special matinee on June the 12th at 2:30. So, Professor Bixler, welcome to your first time on the Nightly News Podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, we're certainly very supportive of a lot of the things that are going on here on campus. As a matter of fact, this is one of the initiatives that we have as the Nightly News, is to try to get people here on campus a little bit more involved. And it's, for some of them, it's a little difficult if they don't know what's going on. So we're definitely going to talk about this huge deal that we have going on. But I want to start off by talking to you. It's your second annual original play. What does that mean specifically to someone who might be a novice to theater?
That is a great question. Original play means that the script has never existed before. It's created by the participants and it's student created. So the first original play was created last year and performed last April, created by a group of students around the topic of their stories of survival, and it was entitled Survivors Among Us. Now this year, when you create an original play, you always go in with a topic or theme. So this year, I presented to the students that the topic would be dreams and nightmares. And so the students' real life experiences and their imagination help create the material for what will be the content of the play. And it's original. No one else will have created it, and no one will recreate it because it's very specific to them. While we could type up a complete working script and publish it, it wouldn't be as valuable to another group of students to perform because the material is such these specific students' lives.
So that's very interesting. So this is a basically very unique one-time only production because, as you mentioned, even if you were to try to recreate this, it wouldn't be the same because it's not from the student's own perspective.
Exactly.
Excellent. So can you just maybe, again, for some of those of us that might be a little bit more novice to the way that these types of things are put together, can you just explain sort of the artistic process that went in? Now, so we kind of got a glimpse into how you first created this. You had a topic, and then you looked into some of the people who were involved for some more feedback and for some content. Can you just explain a little bit more about how that was developed?
Right. The basic process I use in creating original work, and I've created at least 50 different original works throughout my time as a theater practitioner. Wow. In theaters and in schools. And so the process is generally the same. You go in with a topic or a theme, and then you invite the participants, and here are Central Penn students, to just talk and brainstorm all different aspects on that topic and theme. Once you've done that first conversation, just letting people to talk all over and all around the topic and the theme, then you start to ask the question, what is the universal question about the topic or theme? What is it we as actors want the audience to question during the play? So when it came to Survivors Among Us, the question that we wanted the audience to ponder was, what does it mean to survive? What do you need to thrive in life? And that question started out as a little seed during those beginning conversations, but that question did not formally form itself until right before we got into dress rehearsal, because that's something about the process of creating original work. It is never fully created until you have an audience. And because we have 4 shows this time, we only did 2 last year. Because we have 4 shows, the 4 shows will change each time we perform it. Not because the students are going to drastically recreate the material. but they will be informed by how the audience reacted previously, and they will tweak things. And they themselves, because it is their own story, they will find places that they want to play in a more bold fashion, or where they want to challenge the audience by making some other choices. So once the students have sat around the table and they've talked in broad terms about the topic and theme, and I've introduced the concept of universal question, then we get into improv and creative drama or creative dramatics, where they get up on their feet and they do improv exercises or acting exercises around the theme. So this time in Dreams and Nightmares, there's this great acting exercise called Dreams and Nightmares, where you play really unusual music that sounds very eerie or very suspenseful or mysterious, and I play the music and the students have props, and we talk about the structure of what makes a dream, and a nightmare, and they create fictitious dreams and nightmares. And then we play a game about being the dream interpreter or the dream analyst. And that gets them into an imagination place. It gets them to a storytelling place, but they're using things that are completely fictitious. Because when you create an original work using the material of the actual actors, the students, it's an extremely personal and vulnerable experience. So you have to slowly take them there. They have to be comfortable. So after we play with improv and creative drama around the topic and theme that is very safe and oftentimes silly, then we start to talk about, well, now what's your real dream or your real nightmare that's been reoccurring, or that you have been able to remember for years, even though it happened when you were very little. And then we take their real dreams and nightmares and we break it down and we dissect it and we talk about it with each other, and we start to play around. How are we going to bring that to life on stage? Lots of times people who are young or new to acting will want to play it verbatim or very linearly, or they will want to play it like first, second, third. This is what happens. The great thing about Dreams and Nightmares is things are never really linear, and that takes the young actor out of that assumption that everything has to be played out in order. There's a lot of randomness to Dreams and Nightmares, so I could help them use improv and theater techniques, acting techniques, to develop their stories that parallel that randomness. So one thing you do when you're creating an original work, you put boundaries on what you're going to offer your actors. You put boundaries on the space, you put boundaries on the costumes, on the props, and on the set pieces. So for example, in the Survivor play, one boundary was they were performing it in the round, so they had to know how were they going to act so that all the audience could be involved. They also knew that they would have no props, and everyone would basically have the same costume. In this Dreams and Nightmares, we decided early on that it would be set in a sleep clinic, and because we inherited 2 beds from our previous production of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we had these 2 beds to use in our sleep clinic where our play is set. And then the only other big element we added that they actors could work with to recreate these dreams and nightmares are pieces of fabric. So I gave them very specific pieces of fabric of the primary colors, and they can use the fabric any way they want to or need to help recreate the dream. Because in the dreams, there's a lot of stuff happening. For example, there's a snake in a dream, but to keep a very stylized piece of theater uniform, it would be erroneous to throw in a stuffed snake or a paper mache snake. And then for another time when we are, for example, when we in a dream we go to heaven and there is an actor representing Jesus, we don't pull out a full beard or wig or anything. In fact, we have a female playing the character, but also we just use white fabric to represent the essence of that. So we don't pull in extra costumes or extra props. We use what we have, and that actually not only creates a specific look to the show, but it helps the actors' imaginations become very specific.
Well, that was a wonderful answer. You know, it's funny because dreams are always something that many people are intrigued by, and especially when it comes to the idea of dream interpretation. I know that you just had an event recently on campus here of a dream interpreter, and from all things that I've heard, it was successful. But it's awesome that you're using this specific topic because there is so much really unknown about why we dream about some of the things that we dream about, or really what value they serve to us, what purpose they serve to us. Is that something that you cover in the play as well?
Yes. That was one of the big things we talked about at the very beginning of the process. Why do we dream? Do we need to dream? And all the actors have theories on why we dream, and either why we remember them or why we don't. Then the dream interpreters that came to visit us on the 26th of May, from their skills and talents of dream interpretation and work as empaths and mediums, they definitely have research knowledge on why we dream and why some of us can't dream or can't remember our dreams. But in the play, there's a definite plot line where the audience will come to understand the actor's perspective on why we need to dream.
I think that's fantastic because, like I said, I think that dreaming and even nightmares to a certain extent are one of the things that just sort of captivates people's minds and attention. You know, why are we dreaming? What function do they serve to us? So I'll be looking forward to seeing that.
One thing we learned from the dream interpretation event, and actually something we could see growing in all of us as we talked about our dreams and why we remember them and what they mean to us, is that dreams are messages from our subconscious. And our subconscious is usually informed by our greater knowing. Wherever that greater knowing may come from in our personal beliefs, the dreams are messages from that greater knowing. And even when it is a scary dream or nightmare, the message can often be positive and very informative. But it's about, because dreams and nightmares exist in the language of symbols, it's about understanding the symbols. And not only in a research dream interpretation knowing of understanding symbols, but also in a personal understanding of this symbol means this to me, or in a cultural, because that was something interesting. Yes. Two of our students, Yuli and Tita, both spoke of in their culture's traditions, when women dream of fish, it means that they're going to have babies.
Oh, but I do know about the teeth. So if people usually, in my country, if people dream about their teeth falling, it means that someone's gonna die. So it's kind of sad, and it's a little bit true somehow.
Mm-hmm. And Yuli's was born in Indonesia.
And so now that Yuli's, we're getting some feedback from Yuli, I would like to talk to you about the creative process. Is there any way you can just share the creative process that you went through specifically for your contribution to the Dreams and Nightmares original production?
Basically, my process of contributing with the show was, I was technically just doing random stuff. It was like a day where it's gloomy. It's not raining, but I'm just like gloomy, sad for some reason, because I have to make several decisions. And then for that reason, I decided to create a poem, which is, I was like in the HGA room and then nothing to do. I'm like, this is not good for me, so I went out and then I sat at the AdTech third floor, which is, I know Professor Bixler doesn't know, but the story is how I end up creating it. So I was sat over there, and then I saw at the mirror, and that's where it all started. So I began to write after I saw the mirror, looking at people, and then I began more writing. And then since that, I gave it to Professor Bixler, and she said, oh, we can use this on the play, so then my poem will be on the play.
And in fact, her poem becomes really, if our last year's play, Survivors Among Us, was very episodic. It played out in the round with each student actor telling his or her story of survival through a theatrical lens. So it literally would say Kiej in the program, Kiej's story, and then she and several actors would play out her story of survival, Tajir's story, and play out his story of survival. And the linking thread, or what tied all the stories together, was Jati, who was that thread in each of those stories. She appeared, and she represented our soul that helped us go from surviving to thriving, and brought together at the end through a poem. However, this year's student original production, it's a very much more linear play with a beginning, middle, and end. So Yuli's poem comes at the middle, at that climactic moment when something has to change in the sleep clinic where the story takes place. And her poem is really powerful. When creating original productions, I and other theater practitioners will do other things. I rarely have any of it written down. And I rarely ask the students to write anything down, but to create in the moment and to do it and remember it. But now that we do much more tech-heavy shows with fog and lights and music, and this year we're going to have film in it, we need to have a script that is almost word for word written down so that the tech people can follow the cues. Yuli was the first person in the cast to bring a piece of text, her poem. And Tita has written quite a monologue as a piece of her dream. And then other actors have contributed other text. And so...
Yuli, I mean, you're in the media club. You're one of the most active members. You're in SGA. You're in this original production. I mean, what are you not doing here on campus? I appreciate that, and trust me, we appreciate having some people like you as students here at Central Penn College.
Thank you.
Just a couple of more things real quick that I wanted to ask you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Yuli for a question. I know that currently the box office is open Wednesdays and Thursdays, 12 to 1 and 2:30 to 3:30, or you can go to Eventbrite to get your tickets. Are you also going to be selling tickets at the box office the day of the events as well?
Yes, we are. An hour before the house opens, the box office will be open.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, certainly there are several ways. If you're here on campus, you can get your tickets at the box office Wednesday and Thursday, or you can go on Eventbrite and grab a ticket. If you want to try to avoid and the Eventbrite fees are minimal, but if you want to avoid those fees, you can come in and grab your tickets the day of the event. The tickets are $3 for students, Central Penn students, and $7 for general admission. Yuli, I know that you had a question that you wanted to ask Professor Bixler.
Alright, so my first question is, what are the difference between the first original play and the second original play? Even though I know obviously the title and the specific theme is different.
I am so glad you asked that, Yuli, because I was just thinking there was something I wanted to share. Last year, the first original play was created by a group of students that came together and created the play.
So they want to do it from the beginning?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And this year's second original student-created play, I am teaching a class, theater and the performing arts. So those students are required to participate in the play in one way or another. As you know, Mary and Allie from my class are fully participating. They are in the play completely and will be at all the performances. 3 of the students will have video pieces inside the show because they are unable to be available for the production dates. And then another student will be the house manager for the show. That's a new thing, to have an outside group like yourself, Yuli, and the other actors outside of my class working and creating the play. At the same time, inside my class, a different group of actors are working and creating. And they're working on very different sides of the development process. But again, it's like a puzzle piece when you create original work. We were able to piece them together, which was great.
Well, and it sounds like that everything currently is going fantastic. I love the fact that you're getting your classes involved and doing some things like this. Long term, that's what we hope to do with, hopefully our new podcast studio is we hope to write a class along with that to sort of help get people, even that are already doing podcasts, to be able to do their own podcast and understand that there is some. It's not like we just show up and sit down and start talking. We do have to have pre-show meetings and have a general idea of what we're going to be talking about so we can be prepared for the show as well. Not that I want to switch gears here, but I do want to discuss some major things we have coming up for July. The next, not an original musical production, but it's new to Central Penn College. So I was wondering if you could share with the audience a little bit more information about the musical that's coming up at the end of July and beginning of August.
Sure. Well, you may or may not know, but the Capital Blue Cross Theater here on the campus of Central Penn College has only been open and working for less than 2 years. October 9th of 2016 will be our 2-year anniversary of operation. So this summer we will do the first musical in the theater space, and it's called First Date. And it is the area premiere of the musical. So no other theater in our area, and there are lots of them, have produced First Date. So we'll be the first ones to produce First Date as our first musical in our theater space that's not even 2 years old, which is really kind of a fun thing. First Date was on Broadway back around 2013 for a limited run, and it is about a girl and a boy who meet up on a blind date for their first date. They meet up in a restaurant bar in New York City, and the great thing about the musical is it takes place in real date time. So it's a 90-minute show with no intermission, starts with drinks, goes to hors d'oeuvres, goes to dinner. And the story unfolds during the first date. So Aaron is the boy, and he is kind of prim and proper. He just got out of a long-term relationship, hasn't been dating much at all. Casey is the girl. She's a serial dater by choice. She gets a lot of first dates, and she chooses not to go on seconds. She's a little sassy, a little sexy, and they've been set up. All the other patrons in the restaurant bar become the other characters in the musical, and most of them are coming out of the heads of Casey and Aaron. They are their inner critics. So her sister might pop up out of her head being played by a real human being inside the restaurant, or her best friend pops up, or his ex-fiance pops up, and then it goes all over the place. But it's very fast-paced, it's funny, and it's very timely.
And certainly, if so long as you're interested, we would love to have you back prior to that and discuss in a little bit more detail, a little bit more about the musical and the dates that's going to be. Like I said, if you want to jot down on your calendar, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, July 28th through the 30th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 5th through the 7th of August. So keep that marked down on your calendars. Professor Bixler, I just wanted to, from the Media Club, say thank you very much and wish you the best of luck on your second annual original play, Dreams and Nightmares. It's going to start on June 9th, Thursday evening. There'll be a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday show at 7:30 in the Capitol Blue Cross Theater, and a Sunday matinee at 2:30. So thank you so very much for your time, and we, from the Media Club, certainly wish you the best of luck with your second original production.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, for Theater Director and Professor Janet Bixler, for Yuli, and for Professor Miller, this is the Nightly News Podcast, and we'll catch you again next time.